Oh, my goodness. I mean, how impressive, Dan. The Texans back in the divisional round for the second year in a row. We're going to get to more about what they're going to do in this game and all that, but how did they get to this point? Because the rebuild's been really remarkable.
Yeah, I think it's one of the better rebuilds in modern NFL history. And if you go back to 2021, okay, they hired Nick Caserio as their general manager. They draft Nico Collins. That's the only guy that hits. They're bad that year. They fire their coach, David Culley. 22. They trade in March Deshaun Watson. They draft Stingley and Jalen Petrie. They were bad again. They fire their coach, Lovie Smith. Then you go to 2023. They hired DeMeco Ryans in January, right? Since then, this is an absolute rocket ship when it comes to player acquisition and success. 3 years ago, since then, in 23, they go Stroud, Anderson, Tank Dell, Henry To'o, Xavier Hutchinson, and then free agency, Dalton Schultz and Sheldon Rankins. The following year, in 24, they had Lassiter, Blake Fisher, who's their sixth offensive lineman, Kalen Bullock, Kate Stover, tight end, and free agency, Hunter, Autry, and Derek Barnett. And then this year, Aziz Al-Shaair, Jaden Higgins, Ursary, who's a free agent, by the way, Noel, Marks, and Christian Kirk in a trade. Do the math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. In the last 3 years, this team's basically added 20 starters. We only play with 22. A couple injuries changed that, but the fact that Nick Caserio, and let's be honest, Houston 4 years ago, they were a little bit of a disaster with a lot of the things that were going on in conversation off the field, let alone being terrible in 21 and 22 from a football team perspective.
It's amazing.
Ever since that 2023 January, when they hired DeMeco Ryans, it has become a rocket ship, and now they're legit Super Bowl contenders. It's been a 3-year, just one of the more impressive rebuilds we've seen in the NFL.
They've done an impressive job of adding roles, too, because even when you look at the young receivers like Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, they're not tasked to do too much, but you can see their effect on the offense. You talk about Marks. Nick Chubb isn't even on this list, and he's done well for them in his role. Xavier Hutchinson has stepped up. They've got guys in, they've developed them, they've evolved, they fit into a system, and now they're reaping the benefits. And the best part is, the best is yet to come. These players are getting better on a year in and year out basis.
I think it's impressive, too. They obviously, as a front office, do a great job of evaluation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you don't have, in those 3 draft classes, you don't have many misses. It's not like they have 40 picks and those are just the hits. They only have 3 or 4 guys that aren't on the team anymore.
For Penn State fans, they could be excited about the receivers because Higgins, Noel, Hutchinson, all from Iowa State. Campbell.
Look at that. Dang. Let's get back to our divisional weekend game. Seahawks and Niners facing off for the 3rd time on Saturday night. A lot of familiarity there. Dan and Hawk, what do we need to know about this one, the Niners offense specifically heading into the game?
Yeah, I think the best way to attack a great Seattle defense is in the pass game, you have to throw the ball over the middle of the field. I think you have to attack in between the hashes, and you got to throw over defenders. Now, good for San Francisco is it's one of their strengths from a schematic standpoint, and Brock Purdy's his ability to understand how to layer those balls. And I wanted to talk to Hawk about these routes that these receivers in San Francisco run, whether we call them wraps, whether we call them drifts, whether we call them bang eights, sometimes outside receiver, sometimes slot receiver, how it's different when you're playing against a 1 safety in the middle defense versus a 2 safety in the middle defense. So I'll go back to that first clip, okay? You're going to watch the bottom receiver, Demarcus Robinson. What are you calling this route that he runs?
So it varies. This is the drift route with the 49ers and Shanahan. It's a staple of his, really something he kind of introduced to the league. Not invented the route, but the way that he teaches it and how it fits into the concept. Now, there's a drift concept, which is play action, but there's also this route. So what's going to happen is a couple of things. Number one, you'll notice when the receiver's in a stance, you'll see his inside leg is up, which is uncommon in most offenses. You always go inside foot up, but the reason why, it is a very specific route that is rooted in timing.
Okay.
So
he's going off steps?
He's going off of steps. There's going to be 6 steps. And then on the 6th step, you're going hard outside. Now, the reason why it's important, you'll see a spray release to the bottom of the numbers. And out of this, there's a number of routes in Shanahan's system that this DB has to consider. Number 1, all their deep outs go on that track. Number 2, you've seen Robinson get there, push up, and run a comeback. You can see him take it to a go ball from here. You can also see him do a deep in from that angle. So now we're going to give that same route stem. And then at the 6th step, you're going to go hard outside to move a defender, and now you got to find your exit angle.
Now I want to ask you, so I want to live in the world where Philadelphia is playing 1 safety, right? Seattle plays a little bit more what we know is that shell defense. His angle, because I've been on offenses where you run this versus 2 safety defense. or one safety defense.
Yep.
Does his angle at the top of that route, does it change depending on if there's a safety to his half of the field?
So I want you to watch Robinson from this point on. Now go back for me real quick. Watch when he cuts before we get to the next route.
Okay.
He's going to cut on one angle. Here is his angle he's cutting on. Now watch where he goes once he sees and understands what the defender is. You see how it straightens up?
Yeah.
Because this is the vacated part in the zone.
Okay.
So now, because I know it's single high, I still have to find my exit angle after the route.
So if there's a safety there, he'll flatten it a little bit more in front of that guy?
Check the next one.
Okay. The next one is going to be Jennings, I believe, right?
Yep,
He's
Jennings
in that
in the slot.
This time he's that slot receiver up top. Is
Same
it the
stem.
same concept?
Same concept, same route, same stem.
Okay.
Inside foot up, 6 steps on the hard 6 outside. You're crossing over.
Okay.
Now watch where the safety is now, Dan, right in the middle.
Yep.
Now watch the angle that Jennings takes here.
Much
you see how
flatter.
it's much flatter?
Much flatter,
Because
okay.
that's where the hole is.
Okay.
And Brock Purdy has to see that. And that receiver has to understand what part of the zone they're trying to get to.
So that angle is going to be a little bit more this weekend when San Francisco tries to attack this part of that defense in Seattle, and there's that safety over the top. If we move this safety here, this angle is going to be a little bit more the representation for San Francisco. You got to come flat almost like an in route.
There you go.
And
Catch
then
and
that
run.
Brock Purdy has to just trust that you're going to get to that spot with a little bit of that touch throw.
You're trying to get to the yak angle. Get to the spot where you can catch and run, and you see it was too big running after catching.
I think they're going to be huge. There's not a lot that you watch in Seattle's defense that you're like, let's attack them here. Let's do this. Let's do this. But I do think the best place to do it is that intermediate 15 or 20-yard passing window that's in the middle of the field, up over those backers before those safeties come crashing down.
Absolutely.
You guys know what could help? This new on NFL Live from 49ers reporter Nick Wagner. Ricky Pearsall practicing again today.
That could help.
Was limited, but if he can go, a much-needed boost for that Niners offense. They've been able to get by without him, but they could use him big time. We're back on NFL Live. Let's read and react to some coaching news around the league, starting in L.A., where the Chargers fired OC Greg Roman yesterday. The Chargers offense really struggled in 2 playoff games under Roman. The Bolts scored a total of 1 touchdown in those 2 games, and that came in the 4th quarter of their 32-12 wildcard loss to the Texans last year. Overall, L.A. scored 15 fewer points and averaged almost 100 fewer yards per game in the playoffs than they did in the regular season under Roman. Dan, what does the next OC need to bring to Justin Herbert in that offense?
Yeah, I think a modern pass concept playbook that will consistently on a week-to-week basis be able to attack evolving coverages. I think that's really the sticking point for the Chargers. Is Greg Roman is fantastic when it comes to run game design, but what happened with some of their injuries is the pass game and the concepts and the evolution of those. They didn't necessarily, by week to week, meet the criteria of like, hey, this is how we're going to have to attack these certain coverages to free up people. I think that's going to be a mandate for the next offensive coordinator because they're going to have to strike in Justin Herbert's prime.
Yeah, a healthier O-line will help too, which
Totally.
that should happen. The Eagles fired offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo after their early playoff exit. That means it's a new year and it'll be another new play caller for Jalen Hurts. That's become something of a tradition. I mean, look at this. Whomever the Eagles hire for the next season will be his 13th play caller since his freshman year at Alabama. The last time he had one in consecutive seasons was Shane Steichen, who took over as play caller halfway through the 2021 season, then came back in 2022 before leaving to become the head coach of the Colts. Hawk, what should Philly be looking for in its next OC?
They're looking for some kind of stability, and I don't mean that from a standpoint that each year it's a new offensive coordinator. I mean offensively. When you watch this team this year, they looked predictable. They looked like they had nothing to hang their hat on, and when they did play well, it seemed more like a broken clock being right twice a day. So for this new offensive coordinator, you have to have something that takes the pressure off of these players, no matter how talented they are, something that you can hang your hat on, and you don't need to depend on making superhero-like plays in order for the offense to have production.
Let's get back to our divisional round matchups. Broncos hosting the Bills on Saturday at 4:30 Eastern. Let's talk about that game. Zone defense, key matchup in this game, right? Bo Nix has struggled against zone this year, ranking outside the top 20 in completion percentage, yards per attempt, and total QBR. The Bills defense ranks in the top 3 in all those categories. Bills defense has looked a little better of late, too. Hawk, when you watch this Bills defense, who specifically stands out to you?
I love Cole Bishop.
Yeah.
I have. We talked about it on this show when he kind of had his coming out party. The Bills defense is best when they have great safety play, and I feel like Cole Bishop is the next great safety in Buffalo here. I'm going to show you a series of plays. Number one, early in the game, this is what I call a tone-setting play. Parker Washington, who has been great, is going to come out to block Cole Bishop. Let me show you something. I tell my son in football, when you touch somebody on the football field, you touch them aggressively. This is a violent sport. Next, you're going to have the third down, fake the blitz, cop out underneath it, force a punt. Here, same thing. This is a third down, 30-yard line. He has to consider that Cole Bishop is in the middle of the field to force fourth downs against his offense. And then lastly, you're going to have the game-stealing interception. Cole Bishop is a name that I promise you have to continue to talk about, continue to research, be very familiar with, because I remember when he played the Kansas City Chiefs early in the season, 5 pass breakups, and that was kind of a turning point for this defense and also a turning point for the Kansas City Chiefs this season.
Yeah, these Bills, Dan, they are no stranger to a tough defense on the offensive side as we flip it to the other side of this one. How does this Bills offense match up with Denver?
I think you got to get 15 or 20 targets to your backs and tight ends, and you got to treat Khalil Shakir as a running back. They kind of do anyway, but this is indifferent of injuries to the wide receivers. We obviously know that they've been decimated by that, but this is how this pass game goes. Yards per attempt, they're the best in the NFL when targeting their tight ends and backs. Touchdowns, 15 of them, that's second. The Broncos defense, that's the weakness. No, I don't want to go throw against Riley Moss and Patrick Surtain. I absolutely not. So I think this is what we've talked about on the show. There's not a ton of weaknesses to Denver's defense. This is one of them. That's how Buffalo wins.